How's it going, everybody? I know it's been a while. It's been a few months since my last video. I'm just going to get serious for just a minute, and then we're going to get, into some fun. So in the last few months, we've had a lot of stuff going on. Had my hands really full with real life. I had a death in the family, lost a family pet of 15 years. Big changes. My son just graduated high school in July. Very proud of him. Started college just yesterday. Shout out to It's EB on YouTube. I plan on getting right back into doing the videos. I'm not going to be able to pick up where I left off because the area where I planned on doing all my dioramas is kind of full at the moment from us having to take a lot of stuff out of the deceased family member's home and store it somewhere as we go through it and liquidate it and get all that stuff squared away. But I've got 3 videos planned talking about some of the epic finds that I've made this year. More specifically, 3 of them that I've made in just the last 30 days. So stick around. So this little series of videos is going to be talking about epic finds that I've had this year. I know we're all the way in August. I found a lot of stuff this year, a lot of cool stuff, but there are 3 items in particular that just blew me away, and they just all happen to have happened in the last 30 days. You're not going to believe what they are. The one I'm going to be talking about today is Transformer related, something I never even knew existed until I saw it. So I'm always digging. I'm always hunting. I'm always looking for items. I run service calls, so I'm all over the place all the time. I've got a lot of free time to be able to stop by these thrift shops, antique shops, Goodwill, Salvation Armies, you name it. I will try to stop and see if there's something in there. More often than not, I come out empty-handed. Might see some cool stuff, but the price point's not right. There's some miscommunication with how much something is worth, and it's not my job to price police anybody. I'll just choose not to buy it. Now, I oftentimes buy stuff, stick it on my shelf, right into my collection. But you also know me. I buy stuff and I turn around and flip it for profit in order to feed this habit. So without further ado, we're going to talk about what I found just yesterday. And here it is. A freaking cookie jar, of all things. So I had like 30 to 45 minutes to kill before my next service call. Swung by this thrift store that I frequent sometimes and walk in. I'm walking down and nothing's really catching my eye. Like a minute in, I see it. It's just sitting on the top of a bookshelf with like, I think some NSYNC dolls or a Teletubby or something like that. And the packaging caught my eye, so I made a beeline for it. I'm like, okay, is this vintage or is this one of those retro looking modern items that, a lot of these companies are putting out trying to capitalize on nostalgia? It's vintage. Straight from 1985, says it right on the box. So it's made in Portugal. It's legit. The box has a little bit of wear on it, but it's almost 40 years old. I'm surprised the box is still there, so I'm fine with that. So I'm looking at it. They had a price tag of $14.95 on it, so of course, that's a no-brainer. I pick it up. It goes in my little cart. Just as a quick inspection, just to make sure I'm not buying a box of broken dreams, I open it up to see if Optimus Prime was dead. And he was there in all of his glory. And I don't see any chips or cracks on my first glance. So I'm like, yes, I'm taking this. I'm taking this $15 gamble. If you can even call it a gamble, it's 15 bucks. So I look around for a little bit more, don't find anything, which is fine. I get to the counter. It's about time for me to get back on the road anyway. I get out to my truck. I set it down, and I can't stop thinking about it. So I go the rest of the day with this thing just riding in my passenger seat behind my tool bag. I go knocking out my service calls. Get home, and I'm finally able to set this thing on the counter and to actually fully inspect it. And we're getting ready to do that again right here. So let's get her opened up and let's check it out. I want to be careful. This box, it's almost 40-year-old cardboard. I'm going to pull it out in 2 sections. Got the top. Got the bottom. So yes, it is stuffed with newspaper. Something interesting about that newspaper too. So I'm doing the inspection and I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, this thing is pretty nice. I'm not seeing any scratches, any breaks, any cracks. It's a little dingy. It needs a bath. Little Dawn dish soap and some warm water and a soft sponge will get it done right up. But like, it seems flawless. The only thing that I see, and it's how it was made, is that the glazing didn't adhere on this part of the helmet, which is perfectly fine. That's not anything wrong with it. The cool part is, though, when I pulled it open, I saw it was stuffed with newspaper. Newspaper looks old, crusty, and dusty, so I'm like, okay, let's check the date on the newspaper just for shits and giggles. And so the first one I pull out, Asheboro, North Carolina, Tuesday, February 4th, 1992. Asheboro is only about an hour drive from here, so this thing doesn't look like it's traveled that far. Right here, March 19th, 1992, News and Record. And something cool on this one is they actually have 610 Scott Avenue Estate Auction, Saturday, March 21st, 10 a.m. It's circled. So this person was a treasure hunter long before I'd even thought about it. At this time, I was, 14 years old in 1992, so I'm still trying to be cool and, deal with middle school or high school, I think, at the time. Whatever. I was beyond toys at that moment. I think, I tried to shed the toy thing, and I think that's one of the reasons why I'm back in it now, is because I tried so hard to grow up too fast. A lot of us did. If you're an 80s child, you probably grew up faster than you should have, but it is what it is. So I was blown away. It's a cookie jar. Like, I know Transformer stuff. I'm not, the guru. I'm not the be-all, end-all person who knows everything about Transformers. I got friends of mine that help me out with a lot of questions. But a cookie jar. Like, I would have never thought that I'd be collecting a cookie jar. If I look back, I do remember I had a Sigma brand. Sigma used to make, like, these weird, like, ceramic, porcelain, whatever, statues and little music boxes for, like, Star Wars and I think some other franchises. But I did have one from Star Wars. It was not a music box, but like a little music thing where you twisted the bottom, and as it rotated, it would play the music, and it was the Max Rebo band. I had Cy Snoodles, Max Rebo, and I can't remember the other guy's name. But they played the Cantina band song, and I had that in a box. Found that in a storage shed years and years ago. It was unfortunately one of the things that I had to sell when we bought our house. With that said, this is a cool freaking item. Now, I'm not gonna ship this. I can't put it up for sale and ship it, because it would kill me for me to put this in a box and ship it to somebody, sell it to somebody and ship it, and then them to send me pictures of a dead Optimus Prime, him in pieces in the box. It's happened before. Cookie jars are murder to ship. You've got to double box them. You've got to peanut them. You've got to bubble wrap them. You've got to make sure that there's no movement, and that that it's got enough cushion to survive that trip. And they're so fragile. Like, it would literally kill me to try to sell this to somebody, ship it out, and then it get shattered in the process, because that means that I cursed it. It was obviously, going by the newspapers, put somewhere in 1992, somewhere around March. Put somewhere and forgotten about. Attic, storage unit, basement, closet, whatever. It made its way to me 30 years later. I cannot, with good faith, ship this to somebody and risk killing it in the process. So, I just happen to have a nice little G1 collection in this showcase right here. Imagine that. So I've got boxed Optimus Prime, boxed Megatron in acrylic case. I've got an autographed Snarl. I've got the Dinobots. I've got the Constructicons. I've got a lot of the Combiners. I've got a good collection, and this is going to fit right into it. Hell, I've even got a Transformer suitcase. So, and I'm not putting them back in the box. I'm not hiding them away for another 30 years. Optimus Prime's been in the dark for long enough, so I'll make a spot in my cabinet to display them just like this, where, clean, obviously, where everybody that comes by, my friends, my son's friends, family, people that my buddies, that, or peers that collect, that have visited me before, to, see it in all its glory. Not to hide it away in a box. I've got enough toys that are stuck, crammed in a box. But this is just too magnificent to put in a box and then just stick somewhere in a corner. So, This is it. This was the find of epic proportions that just happened yesterday, and it was almost like destiny. I had talked about getting back and doing the videos now that things have kind of settled down, trying to figure out how to jump back in. The last thing I talked about was the dioramas, and unfortunately, I can't do that because my garage is full from the decedent's items that we've had to store in there as we go through it and liquidate it and you know, try to figure out what they want to keep and what they want to sell. So if you like anything that I talked about today, hit the like button. If you think my channel is interesting, I don't just talk about toys. I talk about everything that toys deal with. That's the displaying of them, the finding of them, the collecting of them, selling them. I'll talk about hunting them. I'm going to be doing videos where I'm digging through people's trash and their sheds and literally crawling under their house, risking life and limb from being attacked by vicious rats, spiders, and snakes, all to find a Cobra Commander or a Skeletor missing an arm or something. If any of that sounds interesting, subscribe. Turn those notifications on. I plan on putting out more videos. I know I've got 2 more in the works that have to do with the other 2 items that I found also in the last 30 days. And here's a little hint. One of them is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles related, and one of them is G.I. Joe related. So if you're curious to what those are, stick around and find out. Thanks for watching. It's EB on YouTube. Check them out. So I do, and conversation goes more along the lines of, you know, you're trying to make small talk. Made in Portugal, distributed in the United States, or made in Portugal and distributed in North Carolina. Made in Portugal and just say the fucking words. So it's made in Portugal. It's legit.